today and we'll be trying to stay cool over the weekend because I hear we're going to heat up a little bit this weekend. Today, we're going to have an update on self-determination. And before we start that, I will give you a little bit of information about where we are with COVID and a few other updates that I'll just throw in there for you. So I'm going to start with sharing my screen. And my name is Lisa Kleinbaum, and I'm the Executive Director here at Regional Center of the East Bay. And I'll be joined today by Jennifer Castaneda, who is our Self-Determination Program Specialist. So right now, what we're seeing in our community is very, very low rates of COVID-19. Right now, we've seen an absolute decline in cases. In April, we had 5 among people served, 4 in May, and we so far have 3 in June. And we're seeing the demand for vaccination decreasing, and a lot of people have been vaccinated. We're seeing the expansion to 12 to 15-year-olds has been a great addition, and we're seeing people interested in that expansion. And there are also many appointments available. So we're encouraging anyone who's interested in being vaccinated to please start doing that. We are also talking to people who are not quite ready to be vaccinated and trying to understand how we can get people vaccinated. It really is one of the best ways to prevent the spread of COVID-19 and keep people healthy. And these are some links that will be posted on our website in this PowerPoint presentation, just so you have them available if you want to find out where to get vaccinated. So the other thing I just wanted to mention to everyone today is that we are right at the point in the month of June when we find out about the state budget for the next fiscal year, which starts on July 1st. And that will occur sometime in the next few days. We will actually see what is in the state budget. And there's a lot of exciting proposals by the legislature around funding for service providers, funding so that there is enough service coordination at Regional Center, and some exciting additional supports for self-determination as we roll out to the entire community, and for other innovative programs at the Regional Center. So we'll be talking more about that in July, but I just wanted to give you a brief introduction to that. And so now I'm going to turn it over to Jennifer Castaneda, who's our self-determination specialist, and she's going to go through what there is to know and where we're at this point. And Jennifer is really well informed on the program, and we're just really excited that in July we'll be able to work with people who weren't part of the initial group of people selected for self-determination to move into the program. Jennifer?
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for having me here. Thank you, Lisa. I did see a couple of chat, just that there was, I think, some audio issues. So I'm hoping that everybody can hear me okay. And I wanna just say that we'll be going over sort of what there is to know, the latest that we know right now of self-determination. But this does not count as an orientation. A lot of you might be interested in an orientation, and we'll go over that a little bit more at the end. But this is not an orientation. So with that said, I wanted to just cover really quickly what self-determination is And self-determination is essentially a new way for you to receive services from the regional center. And so you will have then two options to receive services as a regional center consumer. And it's founded on 5 principles that are listed here that are actually written into law. Freedom, authority, support, responsibility, and confirmation. And we'll go into what each one of these means and what it looks like in orientations, actually. I was going to go over a little bit today, but we want to save time for questions. So the main question we get is how self-determination is different than what we have now. And so right now, the services that you receive are coordinated by your case manager using providers that are vendored with the regional center. And typically those vendors are authorized to provide specific services in a specific way. Self-determination is different than that model, which is now being called the traditional model. So it's where, again, your case manager is coordinating services, maybe writing purchase of orders, connecting you directly through one of our vendor lists. And that's the traditional model. Self-determination is different because it allows you to control and really design the services that you want for yourself so that you can meet your goals in your IPP. Another difference in this model, self-determination, is that an orientation is required. There are some things that are similar to traditional models, some things that don't change, but there are also things that are different and that are new and unique to self-determination. So that's why an orientation is required. Another thing that we'll be going over in orientations is essentially how it works. And you might have heard about some of these things, and you might even be here to with questions about what some of these are, about when orientations are, what there's for, what they cover, person-centered planning, individual budgets, maybe independent facilitators, spending plans, and those are new to self-determination, and they don't exist in the traditional model. When you attend an orientation, you'll be learning about each one of these in more detail, and also what support is available to you to make your transition successful. So even though this program is new, and there are a lot of new elements that are involved in it, we don't just say, okay, you're in self-determination, you're on your own now. There is support available, which we cover in orientation, and it includes independent facilitators. You might have heard about coaching that's available. So those are all things that we cover in orientation. Has this been, if you can move to the next slide, I don't think I can do it.
Yeah.
Thank you. How this has been successful. I think the main question that we get right now is if this is a good option or a good choice for people during COVID, because so much is unknown and there is a little bit of uncertainty still. And the answer is yes. We have had actually more than 30 people during COVID make their transition into self-determination that were originally selected before COVID. And so it is possible. And all of those people have reported that they've really benefited from being able to tailor the supports that they received during this time. But in general too, to meet their needs, being able to choose their service providers. So maybe people that are providers that are not on our vendor list, they've found freedom in being able to choose anyone. Being able to purchase products to meet their goals too, and participate in programs they like and the way that they like to do that too. and also maintaining engagement in things that they enjoy. So, particularly during COVID, a lot of things ended or sort of were closed to the public, but still available maybe virtually or online. And so, self determination made it possible for people to still participate in those programs, and also broadening their interests. And that helped because there were programs, activities, and things that people never thought that they would consider, particularly before COVID, maybe. And now, and now they have found that they actually do like those things. And with everything, and the whole purpose of self determination is that it increases and really supports inclusion into the community. So everybody who has been in self-determination has benefited and really been supported in being able to be a part of their community the way that they want to and the way that they like.
Hold on.
So it is a very, self-determination is a very exciting opportunity now. We expect that it's going to roll out July 1st. So the date is right around the corner, and we're doing things to prepare so that we can support you and facilitate the process for you. And so what you can do now is that you can join our interest list, and hopefully you will have received my email invitation to you about this meeting. If you submitted your name to the interest list, you can go on our website and submit your information into a form, sort of. If you find that the form doesn't work, you can also let your case manager know and let them know your UCI, your preferred email, hopefully one that you check frequently, your name, and your last name. That way they can submit their or your information to me, and I'll add you to our interest list to get updates like this, updates on orientations. Another thing that you can do right now in preparation for July 1st is that you can go to the DDS website. If you're already on our website, we have a direct link to DDS for the self-determination information, and you can find all kinds of things on there. You can find implementation updates. You can find actually the DDS version of the orientation. You can find what services you can purchase with self-determination funds. You can find a list of service codes that have been approved and their descriptions. And you can find actually samples of questions, frequently asked questions, and they have all of those posted on the website. You can, again, if you just go into DDS, you can just search in their tab self-determination, and you can see everything related to self-determination, or you can go on our website and we have a link right below our brochure where it links you directly to that page on the DDS website. Stay tuned for orientation dates. We're actually going to be going over some of those here today at the end of this presentation. And another thing that I really want to encourage is that you start conversations with your case manager. If you're interested in self-determination, let them know. And maybe right now, before July 1st, we don't have too much guidance from DDS on how you can start your transition, but conversations are really important because they will help your case manager understand where you are right now and what you want and what your goals are. And that's really going to help drive your self-determination transition and your whole plan. I wanted to stress that most of our transitions so far, of everyone who is in self-determination, has had a person-centered plan done, and those have been beneficial because you really get to learn about what you like, what you want to do, what you need to get there, and it's a really special exploration of those things. Again, we don't have too much guidance on how we can fund that moving forward after July 1st, but we're expecting, like Lisa said, within the next couple of weeks to get that information, and you will get those updates when you sign up to the interest list. We'll send an email out and say, this is what we know. So be sure to enter your name there. This is the same information, just sort of in a to-do list kind of things. What you can do today is submit your name to the interest list. This week and forevermore, you can visit the DDS website to again keep learning about any updates, anything that DDS has to say about self-determination is posted on their website. This month we'll be offering orientations in Spanish and in English. And we are going to be, I think I have those here somewhere. Those are going to be on the 24th of this month. And they will actually be every Thursday. And there'll be morning sessions and afternoon sessions. You'll just check the one that best meets your language preference. And again, talk with your case manager and let them know that you're interested in self-determination. You can attend orientations even if you are not ready to commit yet, just to learn about what the process is, but do know that an orientation is required if you want to choose that service delivery model. So you don't have to attend only if you know you want to participate, but you do have to attend if you're sure that you want to participate.
Next slide.
Yeah, go ahead and go to the next slide. These are the, I don't know if we're going to share the slide. So that, I mean, the PowerPoint.
Oh, should I link to it?
Yeah, you can go ahead and click and, hopefully that works. Oh, it did not.
It did not.
You can go on our website and just in the search bar, put in self-determination, and you'll see on there, it will link you to really anything self-determination related on our website. Oh, somebody posted it here. Somebody posted it in the chat.
Okay.
So hopefully you'll be able to, and there's a link for the DDS website as well. I wanted to just share with you, and these orientations will be posted on our website on Monday. They're only not posted today because our website administrator is out of the office today. But they will start every Thursday in June and July, starting on the 24th, June 24th. The first one will be from 9 to 12. That one's in Spanish. And then the second session on that Thursday will be from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. And that one is in English on Thursday, on the 24th. Then the next Thursday, July 1st, again, there will be a morning session, an afternoon session, and we'll be posting this. I don't know if I can share screen of this flyer, but we'll be posting it on our website.
Can you click down at the bottom? You probably can.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll be posting these, and we can also send it to our interest list. So if you've submitted your name and that's how you knew about this session, then you'll be getting this as well. They will require advanced registrations because we have to be able to confirm that you attended. And so these are the links to the registration. Once you register, you'll get an email with the actual link of the orientation.
And so Jen, we will also send this out post this on our website next to this community meeting as well, so you can find it easily. And that will be, we can actually do that this afternoon.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And if you're here and you prefer Cantonese or Vietnamese, we also are scheduling those, and those are presented in those languages from a volunteer with us. So she has committed to once or twice a month having Cantonese and Vietnamese. So we'll be posting those as well, and we'll be sharing those dates when we have them. But otherwise, keep in mind July 1st as the start date, and we'll be sharing information about person-centered planning and what the funding is going to look like for the individuals who are wanting to participate but were not selected by DDS. We are still waiting on guidance from that about that. But otherwise, you can attend orientations and learn about what the roles and responsibilities are for you, for us, and independent facilitators, for example. And so those will be very detailed presentations where you'll be learning all of that.
Do you want me to read some of the questions in the
Yes,
chat?
that would be great, yeah.
Okay, so the first question I have is, if you were part of the lottery group where you tried to be in self-determination, are you already on our interest list?
We do have, yes, we would have your name because DDS actually provided that list to us. So if you submitted your name to you probably attended informationals and had your email submitted. We do have those. Mm-hmm.
And then we were required to attend orientation at that time. That was an interest orientation,
That was an
interest meeting,
mm-hmm.
and those are no longer going to be required. Only the orientation is going to be required. So that was for the kind of the pilot, the first 3 years, and it is on our website. I think someone sent a link. Yes, so we have a lot of questions about if you were already on the waiting list, are you on the interest list? What about the approved list of services on DDS's website? Okay, so we got that posted there. Jen, do you want to talk about the approved services, what those are?
The approved services? Yeah. Sure. So in self-determination, you are able to spend on services and supports and really programs or anything that you might call that support if they are federally approved. And so DDS will be posting on our website as well soon, but DDS has a list of what those federally approved services are, and everything and anything that you might want to spend on in self-determination has to fit one of the descriptions of that service list, which is why I'm recommending that you become familiar with that list and the definitions for them. And it will help answer probably a lot of questions around, can I use money for this? Can I have this funded? You can take a look at what that service list is and get an idea of, is this something? You might still have questions and the definition might not be so definite. And so feel free to reach out to us and we can help explore that and get some clarity for you.
Jen, is our video that was the informational meeting video still posted on our website?
I believe it is, yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So if you don't know a lot about self-determination, feel free to go and look at the informational video that was for people getting on the waiting list. It's a good background, a good place to start. Okay, so there's a question, will coaches be present at the orientation to talk to parents and consumers directly? We are not certain about that because coaching for self-determination is something that our regional centers local advisory committee wanted us to have for folks. And Whether that will be part of the orientation, we're not certain. But we will definitely, if people are choosing self-determination, we'll have a way for them to connect to any resources that are available to help them transition in.
Yes. And the way that we did that for our initial rollout of that role, of the self-determination coach role, is that we had a meet and greet. So that might be something additional, but still you will have to go to orientation um, if you're interested in self-determination.
So there's a question about where to get the information on the client's UCI. And so either if you're an individual served or a parent, it is on your IPP document. The UCI is just the unique client identifier for us. Can an email be sent to case managers with the date and orientation information? Yes, we will be sending that to case managers. And the other thing is that this month, we are going to train our case managers again and reorient them to self-determination and how it will apply to all of their consumers as an option as we move forward. Okay. So will attending orientations at other regional centers be valid? We're still looking at that issue, and there may be a reason to attend an orientation if you've attended one at another regional center to learn about self-determination. We're thinking that because every regional center is a little bit different in the processes and how you go through things, and indeed in what supports local advisory committees have created with the regional centers to support participants. So we will look at how we have to assist people to understand Regional Center of the East Bay as well. We are working on person-centered planners, and when we identify new ones, we'll certainly share that on our list. But our case managers are also all trained in person-centered planning, and our IPP should be person-centered planning events as well. So that's another possibility. Is there a cap on the number of clients who can transfer to self-determination over the next few months? So we're not sure what the prioritizations for the rollout to everyone are going to be. I do know that in some of the trailer bill language around the expansion of self-determination, there is language around trying to identify people from underserved communities and assisting those individuals with transitioning through self-determination. However, we don't know how that's going to play with other people who are choosing to want to move in right now to self-determination. As a state, the waiver, which is the way that dollars spent by the state are matched by the federal government, the waiver is for 5,000 people. And so, but that will potentially go up over time. And so that's what we know. And then there's a question about if you attended an orientation before lockdown and didn't join at the time, does this mean you do not have to attend a future orientation?
It's an excellent question, and I would say that this is really up to you. Do you feel that do you feel confident in the retention of that orientation information, or do you feel like you need to attend another? I will say that the orientations that we had now probably were much longer. They were about 7, 8, sometimes hours. Sometimes we did it over 2 days. And we've actually worked to condense the orientation now. And so if you can see, and if you saw in the flyer, they'll be about 3 or 3.5 hours long now. So they won't be so long, but it'll still be all the information that you need. You can feel free to attend one of those orientations to refresh your memory on what is involved in the transition and what your roles and responsibilities are.
Great. There's a question, can conserved regional center clients also apply to self-determination?
Yes. Yes.
Yes, yeah. Can someone verify if they're on our interest list? What I would suggest you do is go on our website and sign up on our interest list, and then you'll be certain we have you. Our interest list has had people added who weren't initially on the interest list, so we'll try to do that. If we don't enroll now, can we join anytime in the future?
Yes. This will be an option for you now moving forward. You can actually commit to your transition, and a year from now decide actually traditional I think is better for me, and switch back.
And you can only do that once a year, right? So if you switch out of self-determination, you have to wait a year to move back. But that's the only, that's the only provision there. And someone asked if they're on the interest list from 2 months ago, should they sign up again? No,
No.
we have that. What if an activity is not listed on the services?
An activity might be, maybe not specifically what that program or company is, but I think it would be worth it to explore with us if that's something that could fit one of the definitions of the federally approved codes. Just like maybe something where you might say, for example, massage therapy is one of the federally approved codes, and you might say massage therapy is what we need so that we can meet our goals. But then after looking at the definition, we see, oh, actually the program or the person or the provider doesn't fit this definition. Let's look at potentially a different definition that it might fit under.
Yeah. And there was a question about if self-determination, how would it serve someone with fairly significant needs? Or do we have people served who have those types of needs?
Yes, we do. People who are in self-determination range from age 3 to adulthood, and so their service needs also range from low to very high, and it really is an exploration for you on which service delivery model is best to fit your needs. You might find that your needs are met in traditional model, and so there's no need to explore self-determination, or the opposite, that you're having a hard time having your needs met in traditional model, and so it's worth it to explore self-determination.
And so there's a question about confirming that you're on the interest list. And what I suggest that you do, if you think you're on the interest list, but you're not certain, Jen, when are you going to send an email out to everyone on the interest list with the orientation dates?
We did send, with the orientation dates will be probably Monday or Tuesday.
Okay.
And we will also be.
Yeah. So if you don't get an email on Monday or Tuesday about the orientations, go back into our website and put your name back on the interest list. And we'll be sending it out to everyone who adds their name to the interest list after we first send it out, so everyone gets the information.
Yeah.
And then there's a question from someone about if it's rolled out to all regional center clients, what's the selection process you're mentioning now? Originally, the process was that people were selected by DDS who signed up on an interest list, and they were trying to have selectees really reflect the diversity of the state in terms of ethnicity, age, diagnosis. That is no longer applying. There may be requirements that we, though, look at the diversity of our community to reflect the population of in self-determination moving forward, where we don't we don't know. And there's a question, there's an understanding that the person-centered plan money before the you move into self-determination will continue, and we're not absolutely certain. So we should be more certain about that in just a short time, once the budget is passed and the trailer bill language, which gives the new information about self-determination, is signed into law. Okay, it's my understanding that parents or caregivers can become the case manager. So do you want to talk about independent facilitators, Jen?
Yeah, so independent facilitator is actually a federally approved service on that service list. So you can use your funds to pay an independent facilitator who is a person that can help you coordinate and monitor and manage services when you're in self-determination. There are limitations and guidelines to who can be a paid independent facilitator. And so you would have to look if at those guidelines and see if you fit them. For example, a parent of a minor cannot be a paid independent facilitator for their child. But you could be a paid independent facilitator for someone else's child potentially.
Or your adult child.
Or your adult, right?
Child, yeah.
Or your adult child. Spouses cannot be independent facilitators for each other. And so there are those guidelines that are also available on the DDS website if you want to learn more about that.
And regardless of whether you're an independent facilitator or you have one that's paid, you will still have a regional center case manager.
You will always have one, yes, which is something that I will stress very much at the orientations, is that your case manager is and continues to be your biggest advocate here. So definitely keep them in the loop about what you want to do. Even if you're already in self-determination, let them know and keep them updated on how you're doing so that they can sort of be in the know.
Yeah. And then there's a question about, will it be open to all clients of the regional center? And the answer is yes. Everyone over the age of 3. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so there's a thank you for training the case managers. And we agreed that we would do that, and we think it's really important as we do have turnover of case managers, and it's also as we had people selected for the initial group, we haven't had everyone really touch self-determination yet. And so some people haven't really walked through self-determination with an individual serve. So it's going to be, you know, there's going to be some learning that will be involved on all of our parts as we move forward. And we're hoping that there have been some complicated parts of spending plans and budgeting, and we're hoping that some of those things, we have streamlined processes for them because they have been very complicated. There's a question about orientation, and we are really planning to look at each situation individually when they've taken an orientation through another regional center. And we just want to know if we need to do some briefer orientations just to our processes at Regional Center of the East Bay. Because like I said, every regional center is a little bit different, and it would be important to do that. So yeah, and so Gabriella is saying that she thinks it would be perfect for her children, and we look forward to having you be able to consider that. It's been really hard because I think for some people who weren't selected, both the person and the regional center felt like self-determination might be the right fit for them, but we weren't able to offer that because of the limits of this initial period. There will probably be some additional trainings on developing person-centered planning, and we would like to do that. Our IPPs should be in place, and if Kate wants to send me a private message with her email, I can help follow up on that question. So the first step, Stephanie asked about what are the first steps for new clients. The first step will be to attend an orientation so you can get more information. And we're going to send out, if you're on the interest list, information about the orientation.
And those will have the links already on there for each date and time and language preference.
Yeah. So there's a question about the 5,000 cap in the state, and that's a 5,000 cap on people who are Medicaid waiver eligible for this program since it gets federal funding. And if the state finds that there is a need for more slots, they can go back and say, we want more slots. And I think that we will get them because this is really a program that's an alternative to self-determination. So once a person joins self-determination, can he or she still back out if not satisfied?
So you could switch back to traditional model, but as Lisa mentioned, there is a 12-month period, wait period for you to then re-enter if you are interested in self-determination after that again.
So the UCI, again, there's some questions about that. If you're a regional center consumer, you have a UCI, it's a unique client identifying number, and we will certainly make sure that you can find that. It's on your IPP. You can ask your case manager as well. So there's a question about, I expressed my interest a month ago. Will expressing interest earlier be prioritized?
I don't know that it will be prioritized, but it will definitely give you access just like this. So we'll be able to reach out to you and provide updates on anything, but it doesn't give priority or it doesn't bump anyone over anyone else. What really would help to speed up your transition, if that's what you're interested in, is to attend the earlier orientations so that you can become informed and fulfill that requirement upfront.
So there's a question here, is there a dollar limit for the client regarding all of these services? And do you want to talk about the individual budget?
Yeah, so in self-determination, one of the new things is that is new to self-determination, not that doesn't exist in traditional model, is an individual budget, and that is a personalized budget for each person based on what their service needs are. It's based on the previous 12-month expenditures for regional center, and adjustments are possible based on unmet need or a change in circumstance. And we'll be going over that in much more detail at orientations, but the maximum that you'll have to work with in during your self-determination year is the certified individual budget, so that if the amount that is certified for you is, let's say, $5,000, and I'll say that it's just a number that I'm just saying, $5,000, then for the year, you would work out your supports and services within that budget of $5,000 is how that works.
And there is a way to look at unmet needs from previous times in your budget. So for example, if you were a family who had authorization for respite, but hadn't been able to identify a respite worker. So that could be added to your budget to meet those unmet needs. And we have a comment here about wanting to connect with other families and clients with self-determination, who've been in self-determination, to get insight on it. And I think that, thanks for that suggestion. I think that will be a great panel to offer for families considering this, and we will certainly add that to the thing. So to the kind of stuff that we do for preparation for self-determination for people to consider. We do not think a new case manager will be assigned because people want to join self-determination, but we're still figuring that out as we move forward in this new rollout. We have a lot of questions. That's great. I like hearing the questions. Can the self-determination funds be used for services outside of California?
That is an excellent question, and this it just came up. So the guidance we have right now is that if the consumer is in California and the provider is outside of the state, yes, you can use funds, but you cannot use funds if the consumer is receiving the service outside of the state.
And then there's a question about a sibling who's a conservator of an individual. Can they be a paid or unpaid facilitator? Yes, for an adult. And then there's someone commenting on how this would be great for their child. Our local advisory committee meets the first Monday of every month at 7 p.m. and it meets on Zoom right now. And hopefully that is posted on our website as well. And so hopefully you can find that on our website, and we post both the agendas and the minutes from those meetings. There's a question, what is traditional model? That's every way of getting services through the regional center other than self-determination. Let's see. Thank you. More people liking the idea of hearing from families who've already participated and consumers. We have some really great self-advocates who have moved into self-determination and really feel strongly about how important it's been. Can a client attend a vendor day program and a non-vendor program simultaneously? So I assume for in self-determination.
Yeah, so that's a good question, maybe in two parts. You could, in self-determination, use both a vendor, a provider with regional center, and also one who is not vendored with regional center. So if you were in self-determination and really liked your provider that we connected you to through our traditional model, you could keep that vendor, keep that provider in self-determination, or you could choose one that is non-vendored. The other part of that question is potentially about how you coordinate services with those providers. And you do have more freedom and flexibility in how you do that in self-determination, so that if you wanted to do, let's say, Monday, Tuesday, Friday with one, and then Thursday, Wednesday with another, you could do that too. You would have to have service contracts with both of them that really outlines how they'll be supporting you when, and you'll be discussing the rates for them as well. So you'll be establishing what the cost is for each of those, for vendored or non-vendored, when you create your spending plan and self-determination.
So there's a few more questions here. One about, will parents need to engage a payroll service? And the ones vendored service that exist in self-determination is a fiscal management service, and we have a list of those services, and they have rates set. People can, in self-determination, negotiate those rates, but they vary depending on what kind of services you're paying for through the FMS. So when we have orientation, we'll have a lot more information on that. And there's some other specific questions. I think Helen is offering to provide some information to people, and we'll want to grab her to maybe do it in a broader way to people if she'd like. Then there's a question, does immigration status affect the acceptance into self-determination? No regional center services have any status requirements. We serve everyone who is a resident of California. And if the person is not eligible for Medi-Cal, they're just not eligible for Medi-Cal, but they can still receive any services of the regional center. And there was one last question in the chat that I'm gonna mention, which was, why is this a separate program? And why is it not offered to everyone? And it really is, it started as a pilot a long time ago for people. And then because of the way our services are written into law, and there's regulations around requirements for certain services, it gets really complicated to add vendors who don't meet those kind of requirements. And it also, people felt like meeting those requirements limited what they could get and limited how they could get services. So they really wanted something that was more self-determined and flexible and could change a little bit more quickly, where of someone who provided them services didn't have to be a regional center provider, who generally is someone who provides services mostly to people with IDD. So lots of reasons, and in the orientation, we go a little bit more into that history. And then there's a question about stats, about who has gone into self-determination so far. And I have some statistics on our regional center, but it's still pretty limited in terms of demographic information, since it's only 35 people, but I'm happy to post that on our website. I think I just finalized all the numbers. One of the things that we found was that the age group that is mostly moving into self-determination are children and young adults. Our folks over 40 have not moved into self-determination as much, and a lot of those people who were selected chose not to, or chose to recuse themselves. I will post the stats, and we'll move forward with that. And I'm going to hold on the rest of the questions since it's almost 2 p.m. and that's our end time. But I really, really want everyone who's interested and curious, please look at the information video on the website and join an orientation. And I want to thank Jennifer Castaneda. Do you have something else to say?
Yeah, I wanted to just screen share because I saw some questions and just clarify about your interest list for self-determination is not the same list that is on the DDS website. The DDS website is to confirm that you have been selected or not during the initial rollout. But people participated in informationals and submitted their list to that lottery type selection. And so that is what we have been provided from DDS, is everybody who was interested at that time and was not selected. So we have that list. So if you maybe a year, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, did not submit your name to the interest list for selection, then submit your name to our website. And I'll show you, this is just a Google search that I did here. I'm going to click on Regional Center. And then we have a search bar up here that you can just, I already have it in here. You can just type in self-determination. And then it'll connect you to anything to this meeting today, to anything self-determination related. If you're interested in self-determination, you just complete this form here. And then this gets automatically forwarded to us. So that's one thing I wanted to show you. And then when you click on self-determination, our general page here, you'll see the video that Lisa is talking about. And oh,
You're showing your Sandisk screen.
okay, I'll go back. I'll start over.
It's there now. I think I saw it. Yeah.
Okay, so you do a regular Google search for Regional Center. Then can you see it? Yeah, I think
Yeah.
you can see it now,
Yeah.
right? Okay. Thank you. You'll type into the search bar here, self-determination, interested in self-determination, and then here is that form that you complete. And that gets submitted directly to us. We add you to an email list. Then you can go into the general self-determination information tab here. Here's that video that Lisa's talking about if you want to learn about sort of the early days and overview of self-determination. Then you can click directly into the DDS website. Hopefully this will take us, yes. So you can see here anything about self-determination, updates, frequently asked questions, program directives. When you click on training and other materials, you can see here service codes, and those are the federally approved service codes that we're talking about here, as well as the definitions for them. So I just wanted to share that with you before we log off, in case you have questions about how to access that information.
Okay. Well, thank you, everyone. And thank you, Jennifer, for helping. I put some information in the chat about emails, and please email your case manager. Jen loves to help people, but she's one person at the Regional Center. So hopefully we can get all our case managers up to speed on self-determination so they can help you in the future. And we look forward to seeing you at an orientation. Thank you. Bye-bye.